And we're live indeed. Oh, hello everyone, and welcome first of all to the season 2. And tonight I have a really special guest. I'm a big fan of him, by the way, and what he is recording on YouTube. I hope one day I will have a farm, and then I will have the animals that he have, just to let you know. But before we jump into the topic, I'm really happy to say that last year when I started this channel, I never expected that it will come so much people, so much interested and interesting stuff and la 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 and blah blah blah, as I'm saying usually. But happy to say that I was really this summer planning a little bit, and I decided to start with the season 2. And for season 2, usually you need to have really one of your how it says one of your idols that you're following really from the early ages. We never met in person, by the way. I know him, if I remember good, from 2009, 2008. I was learning about Windows servers, and that was on LinkedIn. To Windows servers 2003 or 2008, I'm not sure. And I think that was the first video when I went LinkedIn, when I saw him, basically. One yellow young guy, I mean, he's still young, with the curly hair a little bit and all that stuff. So I remember that somewhere it stuck here, I must be honest. And tonight I really made a lot of effort, and I really like him to be our guest tonight. So Lars, welcome to the season 2, episode 1. Welcome to the show, and good morning for you.
Thanks, Martin. That you're way too kind. And now I'm old. No, I am. I've been in the industry for a long time. No, thank you. Good morning. It is morning here. I am in Australia.
Yeah.
Just for context, I did grow up in Denmark, so I'm aware of the European time zones as well. But I've lived in Australia for a long time now. So thanks for having me on. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, indeed. And I was not so nice. I really was honest, to be honest. I invited also last because the whole my life I'm in the, if I may call it, the Microsoft ecosystem, and you follow the people that are really making a content and all that stuff.
Yep.
And then that's how I got stuck to follow you, but also Tiago Costa and some other people basically from the community. So you're those generation that inspire us, if I may call it like that. And you're not so old. I started younger. If it means something. Indeed. Again, thank you for accepting this. And it's quite early morning for Lars, by the way, for everyone that will watch this now or later. So it's Australian time zone, and it's 6 a.m. Saturday, if I remember correctly.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's almost a week. For him, it's a weekend. For us, almost weekend, if I may call it like that. So happy to welcome you, mate, on the first episode, as I said. And I really want to hear your journey in this IT, I think, computer era. For you was also microchips, I suppose, when you were growing, if I may call it like that, or not?
Yeah, not so much. I've always had a fascination for computers, or for software, I guess, really. Although software was a bit more mysterious than the hardware when you're a kid, because you can see the hardware, you can't see the software as such. Okay. And my very first computer was Commodore 64. Okay. And actually, I forgot, but I've got, hang on 1 second, it's going to be worth it. Yeah, I know it's not that kind of show, relax. But I did bring this because I thought that the Commodore 64 was what really changed everything for me. It was very simple, but if you're from my generation, my era, you probably had one, or you had a friend that had one, or something to that effect. And it absolutely changed what I thought was possible when it comes to something like, well, computers, but we didn't really call them computers then. It was a Commodore, right? It's a bit like, mobile phones initially were called Nokias because everybody had one. So the Commodore 64 was, for me, the one thing that I had to have in my life. And I was 8 years old when I got it, and I think 8 or 9, and I bought it with my own money from my brother's paper route. So I helped him out with the paper route, and that was how I got the money for the Commodore. He was actually quite clever because I wasn't old enough to have a paper route, So he made me do half the work for a third of the pay. But what choice did I have, right? So
Indeed.
I got the computer. I used it mostly for games, if I'm honest. I didn't do a lot of programming. I kind of knew there was something going on behind the scenes because if you remember it, I had a tape deck, so actual magnetic tapes, cassette tapes.
Yeah.
I had a little book that said at this number is where this game is, and at this number you would have to fast forward. You had to make sure the counter was right. It was all very, very analog and manual, but we didn't know any different, right? And then you would load the game through basically magnetic tape to bits and bytes and into these 64Ks of memory, and you would play the game. And there was something in me was just like, this is awesome. I never thought I could make a career out of actually being in this space at that time, but that was the first computer. I then upgraded. I got an Amiga 500, which was the natural progression from that computer, Commodore Amiga.
Yeah.
And then I went to PC, and I've never really looked back.
What was your first game, if I'm asking?
My first games was a game called Ghouls and Goblins, or Ghouls and Goblins, depending on your accent or dialect.
Ghouls and Goblins.
You can look it up. And I played that. I played, what was the other one? I had a friend. So here's another funny anecdote as an aside. I learned English by playing computer games. When I was 8, everything was in English. I didn't speak English. I grew up in Denmark. So you had to learn English. And my friend his dad worked for IBM. They borrowed an actual PC in like mid-80s, which was a big thing. We played King's Quest. If anyone remembers that game, it's from Sierra. King's Quest. And there was no mouse, right? Mouse didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
So the way you had to play the game was move the character around with the cursors, the arrow keys. And then you would have to write what he does. And my friend was 9. I was 8, I think. It was 9 and 10, something like that. We had to figure it out because we wanted to play the game. So it was literally my first English words were like, open hatch, climb tree, open door, because we had to figure it out, right? So for me, it was actually my entry into another language as well. And I went to a school that was very supportive of it. And we ended up writing little things in English as well, even though we were not learning English yet. So that was kind of fun. So computers for me has been a huge part of my childhood.
Indeed. I see just the pictures and reminds me of my university years when we were, how it's called? Open GLI, I think was the software called where you draw all of this. But this is exactly how it looks like, like smashed colors. And basically you have a trees.
Well, it's all sprite, right? So the way that you did it back then was you had a huge bitmap, which just had all the characters' movements, and then you would load that into memory, and then whenever the character moved, you would reference a position in that bitmap to animate the character, and that was it, right? Very, very simple. So
true. Really funny and really interesting to hear. And I think connecting your story, I think most of us started with the games, if I may call it like that. That was how it's called in English, I don't remember, when you throw to catch a fish, the small thing.
The lure.
Yeah. When you throw the lure, basically the games were in ours. So we need just to catch which game basically we prefer, if I may call it like that. And all that stuff. So this is even before Nintendo, if I may call it like that. The first version.
Yeah. So not much before. The Nintendo Entertainment System, or the NES, came out in, I want to say 88, 89.
9, yeah.
I'm not sure. Something like that.
Almost 90s. Let's call it like that.
Yeah.
Almost.
By the way, if anyone's watching live or the recording, comment below or put a comment in the live chat, and we'd be happy to talk about whatever questions you have as well.
Indeed. For me, it was, I think, friend of mine, there was a computer with the joystick, and then you can move just left to right. That was, I think, some type of a game. And then I went home crying, Daddy, buy me a computer. And then he said, it's too expensive for now, but we can buy a Nintendo. And then I got the Nintendo, basically, with all that Super Mario moving with the mushrooms. Yeah. But it's really funny to hear all of this story, because now it's completely different era, if I may call it like that, how we grow it and what type of games we were playing. Let's be honest.
Now we're trying to get the kids off the games.
Indeed. Indeed, now it's completely opposite. Yeah, really nice statement and really nice example. I really like. After this, if I may call it that. By the way, I have one question. Does somebody from your family was related something with the computer, hardware, or anything?
No.
Nobody.
No,
So
not
you're
at
the
all.
first one. You're the
I was
first
the first
crazy
one.
one. Okay.
Yeah, my mom was the childcare worker, and my dad worked in sales for a wine company.
Yeah.
And I am still to this day the IT support. I live halfway around the world, and I still get emails and phone calls of, "Oh, I've just got this. What does that mean?" So that hasn't changed. No, it's my interest came from other friends that happened to have a Commodore 64, and actually my school had an Amstrad computer, which was a British computer at the time, and we used that for a lot of things. That's how I learned to do very basic programming with go-to statements and whatnot.
Is that the same computer? Because for me, when I was starting, this is primary school, Sam and Marta, something like that. This type of a computer is after or before? You don't know. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. This one were something you create the dots, tick. Then if you want to create, you need to go like a dot by dot, and basically if you want to create one letter, for example, you need to go, for example, all the dots like on XY axis and all that stuff, but doesn't matter. Nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, so that's the influence, if I may go. Yeah, but I suppose it's the influence from the friends and all of that you jump in with the computers and the Commodore, if I may call it like that.
I was just drawn to it. There was no way I was going to do anything else in hindsight. I actually thought I went through school as anyone else. We did, computers were for fun. You didn't do your homework on computers at all. I started doing that when I got into my teens. We started having actual word processing on Windows 3.1, those sort of things. But it wasn't a household thing to have a computer. A lot of people did, but not for anything that would actually, and nothing productive. It was mostly gaming, maybe word processing, right? So I got my first PC when I was 19, I think, something like that. I think it was a 486, or maybe it was a Pentium. I can't remember now.
This is Australia or Denmark?
This is Denmark still. Yep.
This is Denmark still. Okay.
Still Denmark.
Sorry.
And no, that's good. And I actually thought I wanted to be an accountant, believe it or not. I love numbers. I love math because it just makes sense. You always get the right result kind of thing. And that really appealed to me. You didn't have to argue your case. 2 + 2 is 4. And I then worked as an accountant when I was 19 or 20 for about 6 months. And I then knew I was not going to be an accountant. It was, accounting has nothing to do with numbers, as it turns out.
Yes,
it's all law. It's all legal stuff, and I just wasn't interested. So I started working at a telco called Orange, where first it was Mobilize, which was a French company that came to Denmark. That was how the CEO said it. That was hilarious. Welcome to Mobilize. Mobilize. And then it became Orange when France Telecom took that over. And I had almost a career inside the telco. I was in customer service. I was in technical customer service. I then got into their billing department, which was all SQL. It was all database stuff. I'd never done any of that at all. And I learned how to SQL, essentially. But I never did development. And I knew at that point that I wanted to do the development part. So what I did was specs. Someone else did development. I did Q&A.
This is 20s. You are 20s, correct? SQL when you're 20s.
This was 2000, 2001. And at that point, I had bought an apartment. I bought a car. I was like, there's no way in hell I can go and study now. That's never going to work. So what do I do? And me and my girlfriend at the time decided to sell everything. And I literally mean everything, and move to Australia to study.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I wanted to do computer science. She was an Australian citizen, and we could move to Sydney. So we did.
Wow. Well, that's a big step, mate. And this is, really quite early. And I think, Denmark have a quite nice computer science universities, let's be honest. It's
and
not
I could
that
for free.
Yeah, indeed. But that's a big step. On 20 years old now, thinking loud with you, if you give an example yet how the kids are moving now, and I'm not sure if it's so fast like the decision that you have done, and it's a life decision, in my opinion. I mean, it's a big
Well, it wasn't
decision.
going to be, but it has become. Yes.
Yeah. And you're in your 20s. You got some money. I can imagine, the feeling. Yeah, well, now study. That's more important, and all that stuff in that period, basically. But really a big step, and really kudos. So basically, now I understand why you're my idol, if I may call it like that. Please continue. Please continue. I enjoy.
Yeah, I've never fitted into a mold. I've never been. I've never done what everybody else does, and that just it's not on purpose. I just tend to come up with things and go, oh, this sounds cool. I'm going to do that, and then people go, oh, you're an idiot. Like when moving to Australia was actually quite supportive, and my family is very supportive anyway. And they didn't sort of, when I said, well, actually we're going to stay here for a while after uni, they were like, yeah, we figured, right? It was not a surprise to them, but most people wouldn't have, I think. They would have gone back into the routine, but I just couldn't. My thought process was, let me get a job with the degree I've got in Australia.
Yeah.
And then, because then I can prove at least that I'm employable.
Yeah.
And then I started working, and then I've just never looked back, right? I moved to Melbourne, another big city in Australia, and then started doing that. So my journey is mine, obviously, but it's not necessarily sort of traditional, I think, but who knows?
Yeah.
Like, let me know. And comments, questions, happy to discuss any of that.
Maybe the host have a similar journey, but later about that. It's not about me today, so but I see some. I how to say it's coming to my head some deja vu. If I may, how you talk, my decision, my journey, and all that stuff. Somehow, it sounds familiar. But maybe we'll discuss in future about that, if I may call it like that. A really big kudos. Been on that journey, just to give some crumbs, if I may call it like that. Done this type of a journey, but included with 2 kids, if it means something. So quietly aware, what can happen, what you need to do, and all the stuff.
Oh, for sure.
So big kudos, I must be honest with you, and really nice. And especially, I think the family plays the biggest role, maybe, if I may call it like that, as a support, son, do the stuff and all this stuff. And I really like it, what you said. The family was really supportive. So you never thinking, hey, does daddy will complain or mommy or,
No, not at all. I was always brought up to, well, you have to do your best at whatever you choose to do, right? So if you want to go down this path, well, do it, but do it properly. Like, don't half-ass it, because then it doesn't benefit anyone. And I'm still like that, to my detriment or not. I don't do things half, and I don't quit. And sometimes that wears you out, but it's just that's just how I am. We'll get to that later, I think, as well. So I got my degree in Sydney, and it was in computer science. And I started working as a developer in the .NET space, doing C#.
What of a framework you were learning on the university, if I may ask?
Oh,
Pascal?
Modular 2.
Okay.
Yeah. I had an eclectic mix of professors, which probably is most universities.
Yeah.
So I had one lady. She was amazing. She bribed us with chocolate, which I think was fantastic. So it's like, does anyone have a question? And then no one says anything, because we all, movie students. And then she goes, anyone has a question now, and holds up a chocolate, and then there's lots of questions, right? Which was brilliant. So simple. It worked every time, which is why I bring Tim Tams to conferences, but that's a different story. Yeah. And she said, no, we're going to learn Modular 2. I know you're going to think it's ancient and it's stupid, but and she essentially said, this is not a democracy. I know what works, so shut up. That's not what she said, but that's what she meant. And she was right. So Modular 2 is an ancient, it's so old, the language, that there was no textbook on it. So we had to buy a photocopied textbook from like the 80s or 70s or something. But the reason she chose that is it had all the elements of, you have to think about what you're doing in programming. There was no helpers. There was no, like, you had to allocate memory. You had to take it out. There was, there was pointers. There was for loops. All of the things that you get almost for free today were not there. So it was really good for that. But I've never used it since. ever.
Yeah.
And that was never the point. I learned some assembly, but I didn't learn any modern languages at the time. I picked up .NET Framework on my own from a diving trip I did when I was at uni from another guy that had said, hey, I've just learned about this C#. I've been doing it for a couple of years. This is the future. And I went, okay, good enough for me. I started learning C#, and I've never used anything else, to be honest.
Nice. Well, that's really nice. And the starting with module 2, I never used. I started with Pascal, but when you
similar
in that type of a period, as you said, even the university professors, in the past there was this, and then you got, guys, Pascal, which you can modify the colors and all that stuff, so you can play around. It was not black and white, if I may call it like that.
That's
it
right.
was not MS-DOS. So the blue color, the blue background, and yellow letters, or I don't know, the text can be yellow or pink or whatever. So it was more fancier, let's call it like that. And for us, but I have heard about this modular, and I know it's one of the, in the real world of the learning development, a lot of people, if I may call it, they said, yeah, Martin, that's the basic. If you don't know this basic, I think you're stuck, or you should go to work something else, not development, for sure, you know. That's how they were representing, even I remember in the high school and all that stuff. And then, as you said, also the Pascal, now I'm just taking the making the distinction between these two, that also in the Pascal there was a allocate memory, then the program will crash and basically nothing works. So you have in that period, I think there was a computer's 486. When you press turbo, it becomes 586. And usually when the software crash, there was a friend of mine that usually, now it crashed. Let me act now speed more, 586, but the software is down, basically. It was not working like we were thinking, like a car when you press the pedal. So it was completely different, and you need to understand. So completely agree on what you mean, to be completely honest. But in the meantime, if I may call it like that, because you said .NET and nothing more, but you like it, if I understand correctly, and how you do it. But from this perspective, from the past and now .NET, in the meantime, if I may ask, Python, PHP, for example, I remember when I was growing, to be honest with you, which I think you were even, you had some already experience in that years, if I may call it like that. I think PHP has a big long years number one, if I may call it like that. Did you ever try PHP?
I did a lot of PHP. It was actually what I learned to program with, to be honest. I'm glad you bring that up. So when we moved to Australia, there was no Facebook, there was no social media, right? There was no. So I was thinking, how do I
MySpace?
Maybe MySpace was there. I don't know. I never had a MySpace account. And I thought, well, how do I share photos with family, essentially, without having to email photos every single day? So in hindsight, I actually kind of wrote WordPress in PHP. It was nowhere near as good as WordPress. It was rubbish, but it was my first attempt at writing a CMS so that I could have somewhere to put photos and a diary and things like that on a website. It was probably horribly insecure in hindsight, like really bad. But I had a website. I could put photos on it. I could put a diary on it. We can do posts, things like that. And I wrote that, and I ended up extending it quite a bit because it was like, I used to, upload files by FTP to a server, and then you would have to go through and put in the HTML for each photo. That gets boring. So then I wrote an uploader system that would automatically do all that and those sort of things, right? Things that would resize it, make thumbnails on its own. So I learned a lot of it. And I've always learned things this way. I have to use something, otherwise I can't learn it. I can't learn theory by just theory. I have to do it. And it was a great way to do it. So I've done a fair bit of PHP. I used a little bit of uni, but we weren't really, that wasn't a thing. There wasn't a lot of scripting languages in uni. It was mostly compiled languages. And when we got to the scripting, it was actually, I think it was VB script for websites, or
VB script,
something like that.
Yeah, because you mentioned WordPress, which triggers me another question, and I must ask, this is a sarcastic question, if I may call it like that. Did you ever use Joomla?
I did use Joomla, whatever you want to call it. I used it a couple of times, but it was too complex. It was too big. It did too many things.
Okay.
And I still use WordPress. I'm a huge fan of using the tool that works.
Yeah.
And I get why people go, oh, I'm going to try this new technology and I'm going to set up my website with this, static website, whatever, generator you have. Cool, do that. But if you don't want to do that, get the path of least resistance and just pick the tool that works, right? Because after all, we after a result. Sometimes the result is the journey of actually doing it, and we don't care about exactly what the end goal is. But for me, it's like, no, I need a website. WordPress works. It might not be the fastest. It might not be the most. Well, it actually is pretty secure now. It's not bad.
Yeah.
And I just use that. So I still have my own website. It's still WordPress, and I'm not going to change it. No one reads it anyway. And I think I have a couple other websites that I maintain, which are also WordPress. So.
Yeah. I think it's quite simple for all, and also in the past, because you mentioned PHP, there was a local, how to say that? Yeah, local XAMPP and VAMP. Do you remember those? On the local machine, if you want to develop in WordPress and all the stuff, local server, something they were helping us.
Yeah. There was an Apache server you installed locally.
Indeed. I asked Joomla a question because there was, I have two friends of mine, and they still are one of the biggest fans of Joomla. And I said, guys, I think you're the only two guys that you're so big fans, because everyone else saying WordPress. I'm also using WordPress, by the way, really long time ago, a little bit PHP, but Joomla was always, as you said, you open and then you say, okay, what is this now? What I need to do? WordPress is straightforward. This is the setup. This is reading, writing, posts, categories, and all that stuff. So that's why it came the question for the Joomla. And now thinking loud with you, after the modular knowledge, then PHP, and then we finish with .NET. Let's call it like that. In the meantime, if I may call it, between the PHP and the .NET, is it something happening on the framework level? I'm talking about JavaScript. I know there was a time. There was also, I think, Dreamweaver. I've
used Dreamweaver a bit, but I hated it because it was so messy.
Yeah,
I couldn't, you look at the code and I couldn't read the code. I'm like, I'm not using this. That's just terrible.
Did you use a front page? I'm curious, because you said you were sending pictures, and in that period I was creating websites, and front page was really,
not
fancy.
Really. Front page was a typical Microsoft product, a bit like Word until until Office 2007. Word was always like, there's all the jokes of you move an image and everything moves around. Front page was the same, and it was just horrible to use. And I was wasting more time using it than just writing it. I didn't like. I don't know anyone that liked front page. It's a bit like SharePoint today. There's like two guys that like SharePoint, right? That's about it.
The product manager and okay. To not complain. I mentioned front page because it reminds me, because I'm a big football fan, and usually I want to create this. I was downloading, like, for example, if I may say, like your parents were looking at the pictures that you were sending via WordPress. I was creating, for example, from the results, football players in that period, but in front page, because for the pictures, basically it was a classical gallery, and then you just upload the pictures. It was quite slow. There was no content. So it was, for example, today is playing this country against that country. These are the pictures. That's it, and it was quite straightforward. To be honest, that's why I asked. Maybe I was thinking about the pictures and all that stuff. It came to your.
To be honest, I didn't know front page existed. I wrote this WordPress clone before I knew WordPress existed. If I'd known about WordPress, I wouldn't have written it. But I didn't. So that's why it existed. And as soon as I knew, after a year or two, I did actually change it to WordPress as well.
Really nice. But WordPress in the past was quite difficult. You need to upload that somewhere on the FTP and then extract. And then, manual steps, not like now, 2 clicks and you have a website. And then to set up the database, to secure the database, because that was the weakness and all the everything was stored in the database.
And no one changed the default username password. Yep.
Yeah. Root admin. So standard, and that's why maybe but good to hear. The Dreamweaver, indeed. I remember green icon, and it was the whole package and all the stuff from the past. Did you, because I'm not touching upon directly to Microsoft side, but did you touch upon PowerShell, for example, after the PHP and all this stuff? Did you enter to that world a little bit?
I've never really used PowerShell as such. I've always been on the dev side of things. PowerShell is much more infrastructure related. I know how to use it. I understand how it works. I could probably write a PowerShell script if I had to. The book that I'm I've pretty much finished now, there's a lot of PowerShell examples in it, because I think it's an important tool, but I haven't used it much professionally because I just haven't had to.
And clear. I mean, completely understandable. For me, on the beginning was like this. To be completely honest, it was always I was using. I know I was struggling in 2010 and 13 with the Exchange migrations. That is the period when Office 365 came, if you remember. And then Microsoft says, guys, Exchange 2000. 2010, 13, and then after 13. Everyone said, we want in the cloud. What is that? How is it going? And then when you will see the list of the mailboxes, and the only way was, you click, but it says it's uploaded, but usually the metadata still stays on the server, and then you need manually to upload with the mailbox. And it was a tough journey. So my experience with the PowerShell, I mean, also for me in the past was, I was not needed. Even if I need to do something, I will figure it out. But then when it comes this with the Exchange, it was quite tough, I must be honest with you. And then you must learn sometimes. But good to hear. I mean, it's a lot of experience. We are now saying all of this, but also for the people that are now learning and growing, when you mention 3-4 different frameworks, languages that you know how to develop, for example, or you know how to figure it out without ChatGPT, that's very important to know, to mention, I think.
It is important.
I
don't know for how long it'll be important, but right now it still is.
Indeed. Basically, you have the idea and you know to figure it out without going ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot. Please help me with this and all the stuff. It's quite different. And I think here it is this transition I'm calling, if I may be honest with you, or what I'm seeing in my experience. The people usually, when you will send the code, can you please review the code? It takes a little bit longer than the senior developer, let's call it, from our era, that will say, I think after 30 minutes, I think the first 10 lines, something is missing. I think that's not the right way. Please review the code, and he will push back and all that stuff. So it can be noticed, indeed. Where for Lars is coming the cloud? When the cloud is starting, if I'm asked like that?
When did I start the cloud?
Is it this after 2010, 12, 13?
Oh, yeah. I was right on. I used the Azure portal when it was written in Silverlight. Let's put it that way.
Oh, I remember that.
And when was that? 2012, maybe? I think. 2011. I'm not sure. It was around that time. And I was working for Car Sales, which is a car classifieds in Australia. So we buy and sell your car. And we were looking at that because we were trying to farm out some of the processing. So early on, Azure just had web roles and worker roles. Those were the two services basically you had. And we were going to use the worker roles for some processing around. We were doing a ton of data. So this was, I think it's 2010, 2011. And we were first exposed to it, and AWS as well, for that matter. Those were sort of I don't remember exactly what we did with it, if I'm honest. It was so long ago. And it was part of an initiative within Car Sales to try and somehow scale the processing without having to scale the infrastructure nor the people. So so how would we get more? How could we expand the business because data came in like at a ferocious pace? Lots and lots of companies now have lots of data, but back then, I don't know if we were the only ones, but it was a very popular website. If you bought and sold your car in Australia, that was pretty much the only way. If you did not have it on Car Sales, you weren't going to sell it. We had something like 95% of the traffic for car classifieds. And people put in data. I work for the Redbook side, Redbook being car vehicle data. So organized official data that were put into a system. So when you go and you sell your cars, there's a drop down and you can choose Mazda. There's another drop down that says Mazda GX9 or whatever. All those drop downs, all those values is what I managed. Well, not just me, but my team. And it was really, really important for data cleanliness that was accurate. But because of that, we got an insane amount of data coming in through all these pipelines. And we were selling this data in a managed way, like a cleaned up way. You could subscribe to the data and pay for it, which is what insurance companies did, other websites, everyone who needed vehicle data. So that was when Azure in particular came into my world, because we were like, okay, how do we start managing this expanding, like without having to buy more and more and more and more hardware all the time? Someone has to manage that hardware. How do we get this scaling? And worker roles was one of the first things we did. So there was basically a queue with some data that needed some sort of processing, and there was just worker roles just picking this off like in the cloud, right? It wasn't called cloud then, by the way. It wasn't a thing. There was no such thing as cloud computing. It was just Windows Azure, as it was called. Not Microsoft, it was Windows Azure. And you could use this Silverlight portal and put up your worker role. I mean, there was scripting part of it as well, but that was my earliest experience with it. So
there was no data warehouses like now we have, if I remember correctly.
We did. No. We did have data warehousing, but not in the cloud at all. There was a whole segment of the company called Datamotive. Their entire business model was to buy and sell this data repackaged to dealers. And there was data warehousing in that. And there was a whole team that was managing all of this. And I don't know exactly how that worked. I just knew that there was something there. But no, nowhere near what we have today. Like, it was much more complex.
Really nice indeed. Wow, that's a quite of experience. I remember, I think, who said? Sasha. I think Sasha Kranich mentioned 2012-13 he catch, but this is quite early also from him. I think you are the first, one of the first. Now I'm just thinking loud.
I don't know. I don't remember the exact year, but it was around that. I know I moved to car sales in about 2010, and I was there for about 3 years. So it was around that time.
Wow, and that's such experience. If you catch, usually, like everything else, if you catch from the beginning, then later it's quite easier how they build the bricks, if I may call it, and increase the work.
We didn't know where it was going to go. We didn't know that whether this was going to be something we'd use in 10 years or 10 days. Like, we just didn't know. We didn't know. So it wasn't luck. It was an educated guess that, oh, this looks like it might work. Let's keep using it, right?
True. Then you stay in the Azure, if I'm asked like that, directly? Or you just continue growing basically yourself, if I may call it like that?
So I went from car sales, I went to a consultancy where it was obviously project by project, but it was all Microsoft as well. So it was all, it was a lot of JavaScript, a lot of web development, but also a lot of, I started doing a lot of Azure stuff there. And that's actually when I started creating more online content. I was in the Windows Phone space massively. I loved Windows Phone. Actually, 1 second, let me show you this.
If you show, wow. Oh, this is quite. Wow.
My box of broken dreams.
Wow. I'm curious which. We had the same. I like that phone, by the way. I like it. That
all Windows phones. There's everything in here. Anyone remember this one?
I don't remember that one. I must be honest.
No?
Wow.
No,
the one that you have with the box. With the box, that one I had. 2 I had of them. Yeah. The black one I had.
So there's the 930. There's a 630 here as well. Oh, sorry, wrong way. 630. Here's the 1020 box, which is what I just showed you.
Yeah.
There's an 800, there's a 900, there's a 1520, there's an HP Elite X3, there's a Mozart. I have like 18 Windows phones.
Wow.
And
I think you're the only one. You're the only one.
No, I know. So about every 5 years or so, I post a picture of this box, and there's all these Windows Phone nerds come out of the woodworks. Go, oh, I remember those. So it's yeah. That was how, but that was what got me into the Microsoft ecosystem for real.
Indeed.
Was Windows Phone. I started developing apps for it. I started doing Pluralsight courses for Windows Phone. I started doing presentations, conference talks of Windows Phones, and it just went from there. And that was when I started realizing that I could actually
short break now. Pluralsight, correct? You said that when
Yep.
you were creating the course, the training. I got this phone, the Windows Phone, and I said, what should I do? I will learn how to do, because in that period, you remember better than me, there was not a lot of applications. There was nothing, no applications, basically.
Yeah.
Android and Apple. And basically, if you want to find the same application on Windows Phone, yeah. And then I was watching, and that was, I remember, I think my first salary when I got in that period, I think it was 300 euros. I must be honest with you.
Yeah,
I bought subscription on Pluralsight, which was 99, something like that, if I remember correctly. And then what I do, I watched Lars for 2 weeks, just to let you know, to learn a Windows mobile development.
That's awesome. Oh, geez. You won't believe this, but so the first course I did on Pluralsight was 2014, 2013, something like that. And it was on Windows Phone development, essentials or something. I can't remember what I called it.
Essentials is the first one. Yes.
Yeah. And there are still 1 or 2 people that watch it every month.
Really? It's not me. It's not me.
Who watches this? The product has been dead for what, 8 years? A long time.
Yes, long time indeed.
And so all I can think is there's some professor somewhere at some university that wrote an app on his Windows Phone to do something like grading or doing some sort of, I don't know, proof of concept, and he still needs something, or she still needs something. And I don't know what else would it be.
Indeed.
I don't know.
Maybe like you said, your professor was teaching modular 2 to the students. Maybe there is a guy on some university teaching people that there was a Windows Phone. This is Lars. He was giving a Windows mobile development and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I don't know where that comes from. But yeah, that was my first, because content is a huge part of my world now. It's pretty much all I do, right?
Yeah.
Because I realized that I have a skill for explaining technical concepts to people without being too boring, without going too much in the details, right? Because it's the way that I would like to have been taught when I was in that situation. So I've been doing that ever since, and it's just evolved. Started with Pluralsight, started blog posts. I wrote a lot of blog posts over the years, and I just kept doing it. And then I started presenting at conferences around the world. Really enjoyed that, talking to people and figuring out what makes people tick. And Windows Phone was the first part of that. And then I transitioned into Azure, and my MVP on Microsoft became Azure instead of Windows Phone. I think it was actually Windows Phone, then it became Windows Development, and then it became Azure, something like that. So Azure was not, to go back to your original question, Azure wasn't the only thing from the start at all. It sort of evolved into that because it got to a point where cloud was the only thing that really mattered, if I'm honest. It was when I joined A Cloud Guru as an instructor in 2018, there was huge appetite to learn about any kind of cloud, whether it was Azure or GCP or AWS or Oracle. Then there was there was always room for it, and so I just started doing that, and people wanted to know more and more and more. And that's when I started doing more YouTube content as well, was with A Cloud Guru.
Indeed. And A Cloud Guru, I remember also quite well watching your trainings. I think that's obvious now. I think I didn't need to mention again. A Cloud Guru, I think on the training side, do you remember CBT Nuggets? There was also one like that. I think Pluralsight was quite good on the content and all the stuff, but I think the A Cloud Guru was really how we build it. let's see how we really build it together with the audience. It was somehow, I think the feeling was more natural on the iCloud Guru, not
Yes.
from you, but I think in global from the trainings that were the videos that were there, the exercises. I think later came also the labs, basically, where you can practice, if I
Yep.
remember correctly.
Yep.
So
That's right.
I think that was the main difference, if I need to make a difference, because I was part of this journey that you're talking now, and I was following you, following the trainings there, learning also for myself.
Yeah.
Pluralsight and the iCloud Guru, I think they played a big role. Of course, CBT Nuggets, I mentioned it. It was not, I don't know, maybe the CBT was more on the corporate side, maybe for the companies, but iCloud Guru and Pluralsight were really mainly for people like me, you, that want really to learn something new, let's call it like
So
that.
the way I saw it was that Pluralsight was quite corporate. Pluralsight was very
Okay.
high quality, but it was all very managed through a process. So it all felt the same. It all looked the same to a large extent. CBT Nugget was much more all over the place. They had like each instructor had their own style, and it was just, if you like that instructor, you followed them. And iCloud Guru was sort of in between. So there was definitely was managed in terms of quality, in terms of look and feel, but it was much more down to the individual training architect, as we were known, to come up with a approach and a feel and a style, which suits me brilliantly. I did one course on AZ900, which I don't know the numbers now, and it's been redone by someone else. But in about 3 years, I think I had 200,000 students on it or something. A lot. And I don't know. I'm making this number up based on what I think and what I heard. I don't know if they are exactly right.
Even if it's half, it's not true, Lars. It's even more than even we are saying usually in my language, we say even half from 200,000. It's really still a lot of students. 100,000 is a big number. Let's be honest.
And I don't believe that my work doesn't stop when the course is finished, because then I have to support all the students that have questions, that do all that. And that's why I know there was a lot, because it was 20, 40 comments a day that I was at the peak that I was replying to, right? And I really enjoyed that. And I came up with a different way of creating the content for that fit in that mold. I had some real world examples, which are still hilarious, I think. So explaining really, really dry cloud computing concepts with something that is real world. So virtual machine scaling with glasses of water, or IoT with little Lego cars, or a CDN with baby sharks, whatever it might be. So.
And now connecting the dots, all of these examples, I'm allowed to make you a promotion, correct? I can put in the comment. I have one link. Lars' last book, if I may call it like that, I will put in the comments for the people that will look later. Right. Yeah, I have your book, Microsoft Azure in Action. And basically these examples, what Lars mentioned about the Lego and all that stuff, you will guys see it, for example, on the virtual machines, also on the storage. There is if I remember correctly, on the storage was with the alpaca, if I remember correctly, one example. So this is his latest book. So everyone willing to buy that, I mean, feel free. It's worth it. Go check it out. It's really worth it.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done. I like writing, and I can write a blog post, but I'm not a natural book writer. I don't know. I only know one person that is. And it's taken me 4.5 years to write this damn thing.
Really?
A long time, because I like shiny things like anyone else, and I keep getting distracted with other things, other projects. But as I said at the very beginning, I don't quit, and I don't I do things properly. So the book it's got amazing reviews in like when peer reviewing and stuff, which I'm sort of surprised about, but I'm happy about. And it's the best that I could do. It's by far the best thing I've ever written. But my God, it was difficult. So it's out. Well, it will be in the 25th of November, I think, is the launch date. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it says on Amazon.
On Amazon is for sure. I have just from the official publication, so from Manning. So I have the link, so that's why I put it that one. So
I appreciate
think from here the people can basically go ebook, print with subscription or whatever. But also there is on Amazon. I don't have that link, to be honest, so that's why.
That's good.
I was not aware.
So yeah, but that's I'm proud of having finished it. I think it's great. I never really cared if anyone bought it because I've wrote it as something I wanted to prove myself I could write it. I wanted to
Yeah.
write a book that I would read that would actually be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So you won't see any theory as such. It's all practical stuff. It's all hands-on. And yeah, I've made up some companies that I use. One of them is Alpaca Bags, which is hair care products for alpacas.
Yeah.
And there's banning books, which is underground illegal books in the tech industry. So yeah, just to have a bit of fun with it and also make it interesting. So
Indeed.
yeah,
I can summarize as a person that already read the book. So I can say that, for example, I have read a lot of books, and on top of that, I have been reviewing in the past a lot of Azure books, especially. And there is a different type of how it's called, writers, if I make authors. Yeah. So
yep,
this book, what is the difference? And now this is really honest opinion, Lars, just to let you know. When you get into the book, is not something that you will find on Azure website, and Lars take it, copy, paste it in the Word, added 2-3 sentences from him, and basically that's it.
no,
This is completely different approach, really like a real world use case, like Lars also already mentioned, for the people that
as
are
much as
considering,
possible.
yeah, should I buy or should I not? For example, storage account, if you want to understand clearly how it works, then basically I would say you must buy the book, if I may call it like that. So basically the best explanation, you have 3-4 sentences about intro, what is storage account, but then you really understand, okay, this is a storage account. I'm saying all of this because as a Microsoft trainer, to be completely honest with you, and I have a lot of trainings during the year, the people, yeah, Martin, what is storage account? Hard drive. No, it's not a hard drive. I don't know how
No,
to
it's not.
explain the difference. So the people get different thoughts. So that's why I said I really like it, the book, because it's really a practical example. Let's call it
It
like
is.
that.
And it's the series In Action from Manning is it embodies what's called just-in-time learning. So you don't introduce a bunch of theory over like 6 pages and then you do something with it. It's literally here's that bit that you need to know. Here's how you use it.
Yes.
Right? Here's why you
True.
use it. And then it keeps going that. There's none of this. A lot of textbooks are either just reference books and you go, well, I could read this on the website. Why am I buying a book? Unfortunately, I've seen a few of those lately where it looks like people have just, well, they don't copy paste, but almost. And I think that's a sad thing because I know these people can write much better books than that. And it's definitely not the traditional dreary language that you find somewhere. I've actually fought a bit with the copy editors in the last couple of months on, like, they've taken out some of my jokes. I'm like, no, I want that in there. That's me. I write like this, leave it in there. Because there's lots and lots of Easter eggs in there too, like little references that you might not pick up the first time. Just things that I find interesting that I would want in a book. So yeah, that's how
And
I'm
basically
approaching.
to keep you going, basically, because you need to continue to read and to understand the
That's right.
material.
Yeah.
Indeed. And now to finalize, I would say this part, I'm putting in the chat also your YouTube, which I really like it. And why I really like it, because Lars will show you guys how to, and it's again, is the same like in the book. That's how are his videos. And that's why I'm a big fan of him. So for example, Unify, I have heard of a lot of in the past from people, but I never knew, for example, but how I will configure that. And then you find Lars on a video that is configuring Unify router or something, which is basically quite interesting, and what you do on the YouTube videos. So kudos for that, mate. Also, I really like the videos, I must be honest. So I learned a lot about this because I'm now planning to, it's a, how it's called, 3-floor house. So I have a problem with the network on the third and the other. And Unify, and you have explained in one of the videos, I put it for watch later, basically a couple of weeks ago even, because now I'm waiting the Unify to arrive at home, if I may call it like
gotcha.
that. Yeah.
It's
sorry.
I love YouTube. I love doing it. I think it's a really, really interesting platform. In terms of I am in charge, right? This is my channel. It's I do content the way I want. That's why I started it as well. Was that I was working for A Cloud Guru and we're doing lots and lots of YouTube stuff, but it was all very it was mandated to some extent. Like here, we were looking at scripts and we were all, agreeing on what the scripts and the style of the videos and what you could say, what you couldn't say. Blah, blah. I'm like, I want to do my own thing, because there was like this creative itch, and like, no, I'm just going to start a YouTube channel and I'm going to do it the way I want to at that point to learn. Indeed. So I still do that. I still come up with. I never record a video in the same place twice, pretty much. I sit here in the sort of this frame when I'm talking about stuff on a computer.
Yeah.
But in general, it's whatever we do on the farm. So I live on a farm in Victoria, in Australia, and whatever project we have, I tend to film. Now that has now become, it's amazing. You don't need many subscribers before companies start going, ooh, would you like to talk about our thing on your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible the amount of emails you start getting of weird stuff as well. I say no to 95% of it. And so Unify has been an amazing supporter before I even started YouTube. When I was doing blog posts, they would send me stuff and say, hey, we think this is an interesting setup, and we talked through the projects, and they would sponsor the project with devices. Never any money involved, which is fine. And they still do. And it's I wouldn't say it's great if it wasn't. I can tell you this now, I think, but I've just recorded a whole video on a product, and I had edited it all, everything, music, all of that. And then the company said, no, we want you to change this and this and this. And I went, no, I'm not doing it. And they said, oh, well, what if we paid you $500 for it? And that was just like, no, I'm not publishing it now. So that happens. And so there are videos that are completely finished and ready, half-hour videos, and they never get published because I just won't compromise. I can't have it. Like, don't tell me how to do content. When people send you a thing, whatever that thing might be, once it arrives at my place, you lose control. Right? I review it, I use it as is, and whatever comes out, that comes out. I'm not going to change it to some marketing narrative from some company. So that's always been really important to me. The integral part of it is really, really important. So anyway, YouTube is my outlet. I enjoy it. It's excellent.
Indeed. And it's really nice journey to see, because usually you have this, how it's called, promotional videos from the companies and the brands, and usually they don't share the things that you need to know sometimes, let's be honest. And on your videos, what I really like, this is where you stuck, buddy, so be careful here, you need to restart this and start that. And that's how it should be, in my opinion, that not everything is start, stop, start, done. It's not like that, let's be honest.
But I'm not a jerk about it either. If I'm using a product from a company, I let them know, hey, I ran into this problem. Is this correct? Right? Give them a chance to say, no, you're doing it wrong. And then I can put that in the video, right? So, but sometimes products just don't work. And sometimes I'm like, why does this exist? I don't know. But so I want to put that in. I put in my mistakes. I put in when I mess something up, because everybody does, right? So
true. And I think we can, with this, if I may call it like that, make a nice circle on your experience with all of that, and switch to something that you step in a couple of years ago, 2 years, if I remember correctly, on the new journey, which is completely a little bit different, in my opinion. I think I touched upon a little bit before we went live, but I wanted to circle, if I may call it like that, just to cover the whole journey. And how it was with the Microsoft and all the stuff, and all the experience, which is nice to hear. But also, the book, Microsoft in Action, as a cherry on the top. Can I say like that?
Yeah.
Because now you switch. Let's call it like that. So, how is the new journey, and what was the challenge? That may be the question that I would like to ask you.
So I joined Atlassian, which people may or may not know. Most people know Jira, and most people go, Jira. But we have to use it. So we're fully aware of that, right? But I joined Atlassian 6 months ago, or not even 6 months ago. And I've joined the Forge platform developer advocacy teams. And Forge is the way that you write apps for the Atlassian ecosystem. So if you want to make Jira do something it doesn't do, if you want to make Confluence do something it doesn't do, you can write a Forge app and extend it. right? And you can then put it out in the marketplace, you can sell it, all those sort of things. I found that really interesting. I quit my job back in March that I had before. I spent a couple of months figuring out what I wanted to do, and then I ended up joining Atlassian. There was a few opportunities I had that I could have followed, but this just seemed, well, the challenge. I like the challenge. Atlassian has never done any developer advocacy in the way that I would like to do it. They're not big on video in terms of content that is community focused. And this is my big passion. I've always been a huge part of the developer community. I've organized DDD Melbourne, a developer conference, for the past 15 years in Melbourne. So community is a huge part of the ecosystem to me. And Atlassian is just, they've always focused on customers, on marketplace partners, those sort of things. So they asked, hey, would you like to come and help us grow this sort of community side of things and create content that relates to the individual as well as the general sort of greater strategy? And I'm like, oh, this sounds awesome. This sounds really interesting. And it is. I've got a great manager. She knows exactly how this should all work. She's got a great experience in dev advocacy. And there's now 8 of us on this team talking about the Forge platform. And it's really good fun. It's really, really good fun. Yeah.
It's completely different for you, if I'm asked like that? Completely different now. Thinking cloud, maybe?
Not really. I've had to learn Forge, but it's all just JavaScript. It's all just React. And there's a CLI, and it integrates with a developer console, which is Atlassian's developer portal. Like, it's not hugely different. It's just a different story. And it's like, how do we tell good stories around this so that people can see, oh, I could use that for something, right? And I like that challenge. I like that. I like telling stories. I like creating content that follows a journey or that creates actual value, not just a concept of something. So that's been really interesting. And I'm now sort of trying to influence my colleagues on, hey, what does a good video look like? And we've just got new equipment for everybody. And so we're really sort of ramping that up. And it's we do conference workshops. So we go out as a team as well. We do all sorts of things. It's really cool.
Indeed. Really nice. And I know that we're using Confluence. I have heard the nice words, but also not the nice words, which is
absolutely
good. Yeah, that's always with all
biggest, like it's like 300,000 customers or something. I think the official numbers say. Like, there's a lot of people using this. So of course, not everybody's going to be happy.
Indeed. Maybe my next question: is there a plan for AI implementing? Because so far I didn't saw anything on the Confluence page at work.
Pretty much, Atlassian is, in some surveys or some measurements for developers, we are number 1 in terms of our AI models and whatnot. And I didn't know this. So the AI product is called Rovo, R-O-V-O, and that integrates with all of Confluence, Jira, all that. It's almost like ChatGPT inside of Atlassian. But the Forge platform that I work on, just to put the plug in there, you can create these Rovo agents and you can create your own Rovo implementation of what these things should do, which is what I've been doing a fair bit of content on. So that's kind of cool. It's because all our customers wants to use AI. So Atlassian needs to be first with a lot of the AI stuff. So there's an insane amount of AI projects and tests and experiments going on internally just to see what this might work, what it look like. It's quite interesting field. So I'm using it all the time.
But also, thinking cloud now with you, because I have heard from a lot of working in a big corporate company, if I may call it like that. And also I know a lot of friends, and I have a lot of friends that working in a big companies. Most of them are using Atlassian software, let's call it Confluence, Jira, and all that stuff. So I suppose the customers have a big trust to the product in this case.
That's right.
So I expect that also when we say, Atlassian is number 1 on the AI and all that stuff, that there is a really big trust, let's call it like that, between the client and the product, which is really nice to hear. I must be honest. We are complaining, of course, like for every product, but not every customer trusts to the product. Let's call it like that. For example, now I will tell you, and this is really honest opinion and what I heard from a lot of other organizations as a trainer and consultant in the past and all. Martin, but how do we know that our data is protected in Azure, for example, or AWS? But I never heard about, my data on Confluence if I tell you that more than 20,000, 50, 100,000 of data documentation we store in our organization, and I never heard about, Confluence is down, but it's down because of update 1 hour in Friday. Usually they do 6-7:30. The Confluence team is doing that.
Yeah.
But I never heard about where is our data? Is it secure? Is it this? Is it that?
Yeah. Right. Oh, interesting.
I
Okay.
never heard about. And
Yeah.
this is minimum speaking. I'm speaking loud with 15 companies, 15 people that work in a big corporate companies.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. And I'd never thought of it either, to put it that way. I know that part of what we say as Forge is that, no, we guarantee the data. Like you use Forge because it's basically like serverless. You remember serverless in the good old days? And you don't have to worry about any of that. So there's a storage API, you put it in there and it's good, right? You don't have to worry about it. So that's the whole point. I mean, Atlassian is another cloud. Now we run most of it on AWS because that's how the corporate world works, is you buy cloud storage somewhere else. But most of it runs on AWS. So we have that as well as a backup. We're not creating everything from scratch, but we are creating our own, implementation of a lot of these things to make sure that it fits. So interesting.
No, this is my with who was it? That guy from that company. The other was Cape. I do not mention company. I was just thinking where the people were working. Sorry for this. 10 seconds silence from my side. So never heard about that. But usually when it comes to data or migration, but should we trust in them and all that stuff. And also now it comes to another point with everything happening with US and the data centers and Europe and all that stuff. Sovereign
data sovereignty.
That one. So for example, also for Microsoft, if I may call, or AWS, you hear about of gossipings, discussions, colleagues, this, that.
Oh, for sure.
But when it comes to this part where you are now, it's never part of a conversation, if I may be honest now. Not making
it is. There are entire teams that's all they do is data security, data sovereignty, data management, right? And then we're talking hundreds, if not thousands of people that is their job. So there's a huge impact because, of course, once you can build up credibility over time and you can break it with one thing, right? Indeed. So it has to be perfect. Well, I'm not in that team. I don't know exactly what they do, but I'm sure that they are very on top of it. Data sovereignty is interesting, but that's we could do a whole another episode on data sovereignty.
No, but just thinking now, because you as a user, let me call it like that, me as a user, myself, when you get the product, usually, and also it's for the cloud and all that stuff, you are the user there. And basically the colleagues, you discuss, you complain, hey, what is happening? What is this? It's so slow, this or that. And when it comes, because usually you store data somewhere, let's call it like that, either it's some storage or some Google Drive, OneDrive, whatever there. But also in the corporate organization, you must have a vendor, it's called, I think the word, where you company product from a company where basically, and now that's a funny thing, it came to my mind just before I asked the question. 3.5 years I'm in the company. Main source for the documentation is a Confluence, by the way. Except, hey guys, in Friday 6 p.m. there will be a downtime because of update of Confluence. Nothing.
It sounds like you need to move to the cloud.
Yeah. So that's quite interesting and funny stuff to hear, but really nice that you accepted this challenge. Back to the previous, to the main question that I asked you about the challenge and all the stuff. Not a lot of people I see that step out from the comfort zone. That's why I want to give biggest kudos, because on everything that you said, if I may call it like that, because how many? 15, 20 years, if I may call, in the Microsoft ecosystem, this, that. So you are almost in the YouTube channel, book, this, that. It's a comfort zone almost. Now you said, no.
I like change. I thrive on change. I think change is important. And that's why I'm happy to change things. I'm being a Microsoft MVP for 12 years now or something. And I never set out. Every year I go, I never say, oh, what do I have to do this year to become an MVP again? That's never a question, right?
Yeah.
It's always just, I do the things I find interesting. I help people where I can. I create community events. So I try and, for lack of a better term, I am forwarding my privilege, right? I'm paying it
Yeah.
forward. So I have a privilege because I'm in this industry. I've had many years of experience. So how can I then use some of that to leverage other people's journey, right? And
True.
the way I do that is YouTube videos, it's conferences, it's community work, like
All
whatever
that
I can
stuff.
do. Yeah.
Indeed. Really nice. Really nice. I think we can also finalizing if the last round of a 1-2 question from my side, to be honest, because I
Yeah.
know it's a Saturday for you, and I really, when it's a weekend, take some rest, and I think with the family, of course, also, so to enjoy a little bit. So my last 2 questions will be: how do you see, or how we should, for example, because you're now, I can call you author of the book. So
I've written a short book before as well
yeah, okay, but
on
this is
HoloLens.
quite, yeah, this is the latest. Now we are talking about the latest one.
Yep.
So I want to check also on the AI stuff. For example, how do you see that for the people? Usually, I'm not asking the guests how to use, but how the people to gain more knowledge on AI, if I may call it like that, from your experience, because you will learning in the whole your experience, working experience, but also
Yep.
aside. When I see your YouTube videos, it's completely different on what you are working, if I may call it
Totally.
like that.
That was always the
Indeed.
plan.
So my question to you is, what would be your piece of advice, if I may call it like that, for the people how to learn AI? Because I think that will be the biggest challenge in the next years, as we are
Yeah.
all aware. I
So,
think everyone use ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever is there, on the market. There is so many tools, but I think
yeah.
where we will as a humans, where we will get stuck, I think it's on the how to use that properly,
Yeah.
or how to
I've
learn, gain knowledge for that tools.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's sort of two sides to it, or two parts. The first is I've gotten a few times the question of, oh God, is AI going to take my job, especially from software developers, right?
Yeah.
And you sort of go, well, no, it's not at all. But the person that knows AI is going to take your job, right? So it's a tool, and you have to keep up. If you want to work in the industry, and it's almost any industry, almost, not quite, but almost. If you don't keep wanting to be better, wanting to know the new thing, and at least understand it without, you might not need to use it. Well, what are you doing here? So and so that's the first part of it. The second is, well, how do you learn it then? Well, it's using it, right? It's start using any AI tool, because you got to start somewhere. I don't think it matters. It's a bit like programming. Oh, which programming language should I start with? Whatever, doesn't matter. You like Python? Sure, go with that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, because it gives you it gives you some reference point of what you're doing. So in this case, if you are a developer, I would highly encourage you to use VS Code or Visual Studio if you're in that
Yeah.
space, but VS Code, and use Copilot. Copilot is now, there's a free tier. You can use it in VS Code. Get used to it. It is literally a Copilot. It will not give you the final answer. And please don't use its code as the final answer, at least not yet. But it will tell you, it can explain code, it can give you examples, it can give you test data, it can give you references to, oh, where do I learn about this, and give you all of that stuff. Whatever you would ask the guy next to you when you're at work, that's what Copilot is. But it's not perfect. Of course it's not. And none of them are. And we are in, like the internet was in 1996. That's where we are with AI. We're just
Yeah.
figuring out there's all these things, and everybody wants to be on the web, or everybody wants to have AI. That's where we are right now. And most of it is rubbish. No question.
Indeed.
Most of it is not even AI. They just put an AI sticker on it. But we're there now. Give it a couple of years, and things that don't work will die. Things that do work will expand. And that's why you're seeing huge companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Oracle, Atlassian spending billions and billions and billions of dollars on this, because they need to know what works. Because if you don't, the other company is going to take your lunch, just like the person that knows AI is going to take your job, right? So we have to figure out where this works, because it's not going away. It's an amazing technology. Is it great yet? No, there's lots of issues with it, but we're figuring it out. And I think that if we are pragmatic, if we go, oh, actually, that made my life better, or that sped up this task, or hey, that improved the value of this, or hey, the quality is better now, whatever that is, use it for that. I don't think it matters what the tool is. I use ChatGPT a lot, especially say for my book as an example. Hey, I need to write a chapter on blah. I want to include these things. Can you help me make an outline? Like, what should the flow of the chapter be? Great for that. Then I tried, hey, can you write this paragraph for me? Rubbish. Absolutely terrible. Like, you cannot. It does not work. It's what I call beige. Everything becomes beige or average. There's no creative value because it's just using whatever it knows from somewhere else. It's not coming up with new stuff. So yeah, you learn by doing. So pick a tool, whatever you do day to day, whatever your thing is, find a tool that helps you with that and see if it works. If not, try something else.
Really nice set. I didn't want to interrupt because was the quote? Yeah, great minds think alike. So I really fully agree with you on this and with the AI, because there is a lot of, as you said, software developers. Also, either it's on LinkedIn, either me as a mentor, if I may call it like that. Hey, I'm a software developer. I want to change a role. I said, I think you're the only one that want to change a role. What AI will take over my job? Nobody. If you don't gain some new knowledge or increase your knowledge and step out a little bit of that, Python today, .NET today, because you already know that. So you just need to put your brain a little bit 10 years in the past, how you started with learning development. And now you need just to start again, just with the AI in this case.
Totally.
So indeed. My last question. What is the book that you would recommend, except your book that we recommend to the audience? What is the latest book that you read maybe while you were traveling? Because I think from Australia to Europe, when you travel, you really have time to read books, I think.
Yeah. I read all sorts. I try and not read too many technical books, if I'm honest, because I want to, have other influences as well. I'm just going to look. I use Audible a lot because I live in country Australia. I drive an insane amount. So I use Audible for audiobooks.
Okay.
And I actually I have a bit of history in it. I've listened to a fair bit of history. But I don't know. Do you want a technical book? Is that what you're saying?
No, any book. Any one book or two books that it stays in your mind, for example.
Yeah. Well, okay. So if you want a really good laugh from a real world experience, and I chose this because I have nothing to do with this world. There's a British author called Adam Kay, K-A-Y, Adam Kay, and he wrote a book. Oh God, what was it called? He's written a few now, but his first book, let me just look it up here real quick. His first book was called, where is it? Writing. This is Going to Hurt.
This is Going to Hurt.
Yeah. And it's real world, it's real stories that he has experienced as a doctor, as an obstetrician, in a maternity ward. And it is absolutely hilarious. It gives you a good perspective on someone else's world rather than just tech. And it's hilarious. It's really, really funny.
Nice. Okay, yeah, I really like also the title. I will take a look later also. Adam Kay, This is Going to Hurt.
It's
and
really
maybe
good.
I can make I will make a good finalization for the people that will watch this episode. Guys, people, ladies and gents, for those who will not step out from the comfort zone and learn AI, this is going to hurt. Just to let you know.
That's right.
So you must all learn something new, challenge yourself. And I think in this episode, also saying what Lars said, his journey on learning this, that, and all that stuff and stepping out from the comfort zone. Also, the idea is to motivate others to learn something new and to step out because Lars, why I created, to be completely honest, also this show last year, just to give one small clarification maybe for you, is also what I see in my experience and a lot in the bigger companies, especially the people, they get into the comfort zone and they forget about anything that is happening, anything new. And basically they live their own world. And then accidentally there is a layoff, there is this, and then basically, hey, what happened? What time is it? Oh, it's still on my watch, it's still 2010. Nobody, it's 2025. The things are
That
changing.
is so true.
Indeed. And just with this show, I wanted, also to motivate the others that is not just Lars is here 20 and something years of experience, and Lars is a MVP MCT. Now it's a principal developer. And Lars, the whole day, it's recording himself like this and talking about, Unify, Microsoft, this. Also, Lars is learning, I wanted to say. I think all of us is learning, but also to motivate later the people that the learning is quite important in the life.
Oh, it is.
And
to be honest, that's why I do YouTube. Whether that's for Atlassian or myself,
Yeah.
the best way to learn something is to having to explain to someone else.
Indeed. And as Michelangelo said, on 87 years old, I'm still learning.
Yep.
Indeed.
Always.
Lars, thank you a lot. Sorry
Thanks
that
so much.
we took a little bit from your weekend morning. I hope, mate, that you really enjoyed in this conversation. Thanks for the people that were watching. And I hope that I will see you in Feb in person and we will make selfie in Amsterdam.
That would be great. Sounds good.
Indeed. Thank you all. And thank you, mate. And
thanks for
bye-bye
having me.
to all. Enjoy the weekend.
See ya.
See ya.